well-being and global wellness are now recognized as crucial aspects of what societies need to thrive. And with the current pandemic, it's at the forefront of everyone's minds. We're all experiencing the need to connect to nature and instinctively realize just how good it is for us. But how can we translate that awareness into action? Well, joining us is Dr. Wallace J. Nichols, author of the best-selling book Blue Mind, to tell us about the many benefits of our oceans, but also how they can help us to secure a better future for all life on Earth. Jay, it's very lovely to see you. I'll start with the first obvious question, I guess. Blue Mind has been named one of the top wellness trends of 2020. Tell me, what is Blue Mind?
Well, Blue Mind simply is a phrase that refers to the mildly meditative state that we feel when we're near, in, on, or underwater. It puts us into a calm, creative, connective, even collaborative mode that's different from red mind, which is our more agitated, distracted action mode. So it's the calmness that we get, from the ocean.
And why did you decide to explore our connection with the ocean and to call it Blue Mind? And I presume there was neuroscience involved. How did all of that come about?
Well, I went looking for a book about the neuropsychological connection that we often feel with water and with the ocean, and I couldn't find it. So I started to research it on my own and found lots of different pockets of research in neuroscience and psychology, and started connecting the dots and started telling the story that we call Blue Mind now.
And how do you go about exploring what the scientific evidence is telling us about what our connection to water does to us in all different types of ways, psychologically, physiologically, everything?
So there are lots of techniques. You can ask people how they feel. That's the oldest, simplest way to study Blue Mind. You can also measure our breathing rate, our heart rate, our skin temperature, our blood pressure. You can also take a blood sample and look at stress hormones, or have somebody spit in a tube. And then more high tech would be an EEG brain scan, or an fMRI, which measures electricity and oxygen in the brain as a proxy for activity. So the best research puts it all together and tells a complete story with all of those techniques.
So you explored all of the above, wrote Blue Mind. Is the evidence irrefutable?
It's pretty clear, and the book came out in 2014, and every year there's been even more research that just doubles down and triples down on this basic idea that when we're at the water, when we're on the water, it puts us into a different state of mind that is calmer and healthier, which is particularly important in our stressed out world.
Indeed. And can you give us some examples of how people have been affected by the oceans through your research, through your experiences? I know you give a lot of talks about Blue Mind. Give us some examples of how it's affected us humans.
Well, Blue Mind is most clearly powerful among the people who need it most. So we're talking about first responders, the people who run towards danger on our behalf, talking about veterans, talking about at-risk youth. And so in these groups that are experiencing high degrees of stress and anxiety, we see the biggest gains in terms of clinical research. There's so many great examples of programs involving sailing and diving and surfing that serve those who need it most. And the results have been fantastic. We really see a scaling up of these kinds of programs of adaptive surfing and adaptive sailing all around the world.
Oh, it sounds fascinating. And we're playing some Blue Mind interludes throughout the summit. What value do you think they can bring? Because you can look them up on YouTube.
That's right. So we realize that we can't always be near, in, on, and underwater throughout our days. So domestic water in our homes, whether it's the bathtub or a pool, but also virtual water, can play an incredibly important role. So art, photography, film, music, all sorts of art and expression, even a really good book about the ocean can take you to that Blue Mind place. So that's why we like to play both visual and auditory depictions of water in the ocean.
I think we all know how we feel when we're near water, particularly now through this pandemic, through this pause. A lot of us are really feeling a pull towards the ocean. How do you think our renewed or nurtured connection to the ocean can help us to be better custodians of our blue planet?
Well, you're right. I think this is a very intuitive idea, but we want to make it common knowledge. We want everybody to understand not only the intuitive part of it, but the scientific part of it, and really value what all of what the ocean gives us. It gives us so much in terms of ecological and economic benefits, but it also gives us these massive, measurable, uh, critically important emotional benefits. And so that's the conversation that we're really promoting. And if we fix that value equation around the ocean, I think good things will happen. If we undervalue the ocean, bad things happen. But when we properly value the ocean for all of that it gives us, then I think we'll start to repair what's broken.
It makes a lot of sense. And finally, to all of our summit attendants, many of which have a lot on their plate when it comes to protecting our environment, what's the best bit of advice you can give to them to be strong, resilient, passionate advocates for our oceans?
I think the best advice that I can offer, in addition to what you've probably been hearing all day, is to take good care of yourself. If you start to feel too much red mind, too much stress, or even worse, burnout, gray mind, get to the water, relax your mind, relax your body, bring somebody with you, and enjoy what the ocean and what the water gives us so that you can come back a better, stronger version of yourself to do the important work that we all have in front of us.
Great words of advice. Thank you so much, Jay. It's been a great pleasure chatting to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.